Hi everyone, welcome to Bendable Body. This is a 20-minute stretch class, medium length stretch class for you to try on your own at home. So the first thing we're going to do is stretch our central hamstring. In order to do that, get up on one knee, make sure you have plenty of cushion under your knee, it shouldn't hurt. Extend the target leg out so that it has a slight bend in it. Kick your heel straight down into the mat to contract your hamstring and keep it contracted the whole time. While you're doing that, bend at the waist to lengthen and stretch your hamstring. Come back up to the start position, kick your heel down into the mat. You can extend your arms out if you feel like you need to get a little balance, and bend at the waist to lengthen your hamstring. Woo, see, that happens to all of us. Kick your heel straight down, bend at the waist to stretch your hamstring. We're going to do about 6 more reps. Kick your heel straight down into the mat and bend at the waist. Keep going. For me, I find that I feel this stretch a little bit closer up to the base of my pelvis, but it's going to be different for everybody. Somewhere along the back of your thigh is the target area. 3 more. You can see when you stretch with resistance, you're putting in quite a bit of effort. Great. So now I'm just going to turn to the side here so that you can see a little bit easier. But from the extended leg position, you're going to put your foot flat on the ground, take both hands and put them on the outside of your foot, and stand up on your back foot so you're in a triangle position. Make sure that your base isn't too long, but it's wide enough so that you feel stable. There's a slight bend in your front leg. It's going to stay that way during the whole stretch. Your back leg is going to bend while you sit your butt back. Relax and come back to the start position. That's 1 rep. We're going to do about 10. Bend your back leg and sit your butt back. We're getting a stretch all along the back of our front leg every time we bend our leg and sit our leg back, butt back. That's 4, 5. Now you can play around with flexing your front leg. It's like you're making a muscle in your entire front leg to generate more resistance for the stretch. 7, 8, 9. Let's do 2 more. You might notice that you can generate a little bit more resistance as you get further along in your reps. Okay, so now walk your hands forward about 6 inches in front of your foot. Bring your back leg right next to your front leg. And you're going to raise, extend, and have an internal rotation in your hip to stretch the back outside of your down leg. Relax and come back to the start position. Raise, extend, and internally rotate. You should feel like your hip is facing towards the ground, not up. So it's down towards the ground. Raise and extend. So that's about 4 reps. You're not trying to get your back leg really high. It's just about the same height as your hips. Let's do 5 more. This one's kind of intense, but it pays off. I'm going slow because I can generate a little bit more contraction in my down leg if I go slow. The thing I really like about this stretch is the weight of your body coming down into your leg forces it to contract. So you're at a leverage advantage. 3 more. Last one. Great. Now right from there you can come down to your knees. I'm going to face you again. Same leg. I haven't switched legs. Put your front leg out so you're in a lunge position and just move it out to the side a little bit. Take the same side arm and you're going to put your heel in between your thumb and your pointer and your shoulders on the inside of your knee. Your heel's kicking into your hand and your shoulder and knee are pressing into one another. Those are the 2 points of resistance. You're going to keep that resistance while you sit your butt back to lengthen the back inside of your leg, your medial hamstring. Then you're going to lunge forward back to the start position, kick your heel into your hand, press your shoulder and your knee into one another, and then lunge back to stretch out your medial hamstring. Relax and go back to the start position. We're going to do about 10 of these. We just did 2. There's 3, 4, 5. I like to pause in between reps so that I make sure I contract before I lengthen, because the stretch really happens a lot in the beginning range. You don't want to lose that beginning range stretch. So that's right here. You really want to get a nice stretch there. 3 more. Great. So that's all 3 hamstrings on this leg, your central hamstring, your lateral hamstring, and your medial hamstring. Now we are going to switch to the other leg. When you're doing this at home, something you can do is stand up and see how your leg feels. Compare it with the one you hadn't stretched. So once again, your leg's extended out, there's a slight bend in your knee, and you kick your heels straight down while you bend at the waist. And that's 1 rep. Relax and come back up to the start position. Kick your heels straight down and then bend at the waist. You can keep your hands on your legs while you stretch so that you can feel them contracted. One way to know that your stretch is over is when you can no longer produce a contraction in the area that you're stretching. So you can feel that with your hands on the outside if you don't feel it on the inside. The hamstrings tend to be pretty dense tissue, so sometimes it's hard to feel something on the inside. I'm going to do 4 more. You can see I'm exerting quite a bit of effort. Stretching with resistance can be a little bit more like a workout. It doesn't have to be, but it can be. And you can generate varying amounts of resistance and tension between reps, depending on how your body feels. Okay, last one. Now I'm going to switch to the side so you can see a little bit easier. So from this position, I put my foot flat, take both hands and put them on the outside of my foot, and stand up on my back leg so that I'm in a triangle position, making sure my base is not too long and is wide enough so that I feel stable. There's a slight bend in my front leg. It's going to stay there the whole time. And I'm going to bend my back leg and sit my butt back. Bend my back leg and sit my butt back. I like to change positions with my back foot every time I do a repetition because I get slightly different parts of the hamstring. I'm stretching the back of my thigh on my right leg here. We're going to do about 5 more of these. Move at your own pace. If you don't do as many reps as I do, that's fine. If you do more, that's fine. 2 more. I really like this stretch, so I tend to do a few more. Great. So now from this position, you're just going to walk your hands forward about 6 inches in front of your foot, 4 inches in front of your foot. Shift your weight to your front foot. It can be a little bit more on the ball of your foot. Bring your other leg, your back leg, down next to it. And then you're going to raise and extend your back leg and internally rotate your hip for a stretch. Relax and bring your back foot down. And then raise and extend. Remember, your leg does not need to go that high. And you can go a little bit slower on this one because you get a better stretch if you do that. We're stretching the back outside of the down leg. Raise and extend. Remember, you want your hip to be closed, not open. Let's do 5 more of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. Come on down back to a lunge position. Same leg. Put your leg out to the side while you're in a lunge. Take your hand between your thumb and your pointer. Put it behind your heel. Press your shoulder into your knee. Kick your heel back towards your body and then sit back to lengthen. So I'm contracting the back inside of my leg, and I'm doing that by kicking my heel down into the mat and back towards my body, and then I lunge back to lengthen my hamstring or sit my butt back. So it's always good to know the basic area that you're stretching. When it comes to the 3 hamstrings, the sensations definitely could overlap between one and the next because they're really close to one another back there and they have a lot of dense tissue. So let's do about 4 more of these. And don't be afraid to play around with the position of your foot. Maybe you want to turn it in a little bit. Maybe you need to move it out a little bit. A good rule of thumb is if something hurts, change positions. If it's hard work, you're probably doing it right. 2 more. Great. So that's all 3 hamstrings. It's kind of like a little hamstring flow. We're going to do 2 more stretches for the legs, and then we'll move into the upper body. This one is a version of pigeon pose for everyone who does yoga. When we do pigeon pose, I'm not so concerned about getting my front leg way up high. It can be back a little bit. What I'm doing here is pressing my front calf and shin straight down into the ground, and when I do that, my whole front leg contracts. The target area is the IT band of the front leg, but as soon as I press my front lower calf and shin down into the ground, the whole front leg kind of contracts. I also can try and drive the top of my thigh of my back leg or my knee into the ground. And while I do that, continue to contract both my front leg and my back leg, I'm just going to lower my level. And that's 1 rep, and I can feel the stretch right along here. Then I'm going to relax and come back up to the start position. Drive both my legs down into the ground, and then lower my level. Something else I like to think about when I'm doing this stretch is that I'm spreading my hips wide out to the side, and that helps me get a better contraction and also keep my hips straight. Drive both legs down into the ground and then lower your level. Let's do about 6 more of these. Three, 4, 5, and 6. And then let's switch legs. Here, I'll give you a front angle this time in case it's easier to see. So you might notice you didn't notice the last round. My foot is flexed. So try and keep your foot flexed while you do this. Again, I'm driving my front lower leg down into the ground, my knee into the ground, my foot into the ground, my back leg down into the ground, and then I'm lowering my level. And now I'm getting a stretch on this leg, right along the back outside of the thigh and the glutes. I'm going to do 6 more reps. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Great. So now we just stretched out our IT band. So we did the back of our leg, we did the side. Now we're going to come to the inside, the adductors. To do this stretch, you're going to be on one knee, extend the target leg out to the side. I like to have my foot on the side rather than on the bottom. I have a slight bend in my knee, and I feel like my legs are squeezing together. While they squeeze together, I start to feel a little bit of a contraction on the inside of my thighs, and then I just bend at the waist to lengthen. That one has a lot of sensation. You're going to definitely know that you're stretching something when you do this one. You can bend in towards your target leg. See if you like that better. You can bend away. Yikes. See if you like that one better. You can do like a little circle. Let's do 4 more. I'm going to do a couple more circles here. And then I'm going to bend away. All the time I'm remembering in between these reps, you might not be able to see it, but to squeeze my legs together to get that contraction. You don't want to forget that part. Last one. Now let's switch legs. So I'm squeezing my legs together to contract the inside of my thighs. This time I'm stretching my left leg. And then I'm just going to bend straight at the waist. And you can bend in towards the leg. Just remember to squeeze them together before you bend to contract. When you stretch with resistance, it shouldn't really be passive. It should feel active and effortful. Other thing you might be noticing is we don't go into big ranges. That's a way that we protect our joints when we stretch. 2 more with a circle. I lied, 3. Okay, so now we've done quite a bit on our legs. Let's go into our upper body. First, we're going to stretch out our pecs, or our chest. We call this a reverse push-up. You're going to feel like when you're in the start position, your thumbs want to come together, though they aren't going to move on the mat. When you do that, you create a contraction all along your chest and your pecs and maybe a little bit in your biceps. So I feel like my thumbs want to squeeze together and they want to touch, and that engages my chest. And then I just lower my chest, my head, my neck right down in between my hands. Relax and come back to the start position. Squeeze your hands together like your thumbs want to touch, and then lower your head, your neck, and your chest right down between. You can see my butt staying up in the air. That's fine. You don't need to make this like a real push-up. You're just lowering your chest down between your hands. Let's do 4 more. As you continue to stretch, the repetitions get a little bit better because your body gets warmed up. So you might be able to generate a little bit more resistance and a little bit more force, and that's great. 2 more. Great. Last stretch. This is for the large intestine, back of the neck and shoulders, any kind of neck headaches or tension in your neck. This is a great stretch. Start in a lunge position. Make sure your base is wide enough. Take your opposite elbow and put it on the outside of your knee. Your hand is going away from your body while your assisting hand goes on the front top of your wrist. You're going to bring your arm into your body and follow with your head. Relax and come back to the start position. Pressing my elbow and my knee into one another to create resistance. Bring my arm into my body. I add a little bit of an internal rotation at my wrist and follow with my head. Remember, if anything hurts, change positions, do a modification. Don't just keep doing it. 4 more reps. Let's switch sides. You're almost done with your 20-minute stretch routine. Opposite elbow on the outside of your knee. Arm is going away from your body. Hand is over your wrist. As your arm pushes away, your helping arm brings it into your body and you follow with your head. You might want to just keep stretching at home because your body's so warmed up and you feel so great. you could just press repeat and do it all over again. Oh, 5 more reps. Home stretch. Remember, you can add a little bit of an internal rotation to your wrist, but don't do it if it hurts. Last one. Make it count. Follow with your head. And you are done. Thanks for watching.